Live television. Oprah Winfrey looks straight into the camera and admits she was wrong. The same woman who gave Meghan Markle and Prince Harry their biggest stage in 2021, now apologizing to Catherine, Princess of Wales. The moment was shocking because Oprah revealed the truth about the infamous bridesmaid dress drama. It wasn't one-sided, and the story that Meghan told the world, it wasn't the full picture. Even more stunning, Oprah admitted the explosive claims about Archie's skin color spiraled without fact-checking. For Catherine, it was a moment of quiet victory. Years of silence, finally vindicated. For Meghan, it was something else. Her strongest ally, the woman who helped shape her global image, was now slipping away. And the stakes couldn't be higher. Because if Oprah's confession is true, Meghan's story isn't just weakened, it's shattered. And here's the chilling thought. If a royal scandal this huge could be exaggerated, what other truths were lies all along? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we'll revisit the 2018 dress fight, the 2021 bombshell interview, and the 2025 confession that flipped the royal story upside down. This is Oprah's apology, Catherine's vindication, and Meghan's lies, uncovered. It was the week before the royal wedding. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were about to walk down the aisle. But behind the palace walls, another story was unfolding. The tabloids called it simple. Kate made Meghan cry. It was written in headlines across the world. Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, painted as cold. Meghan, the bride-to-be, painted as the victim. But the truth was different. Both women cried. Both felt the pressure of a royal wedding. The dresses didn't fit. The children were restless. The stress broke through. Tears fell on both sides. Yet only one version of the story escaped. Meghan's side. Her camp allowed the myth to grow. And Catherine, she stayed silent. She didn't fight the whispers. She didn't defend herself in interviews. For years, the world believed she had hurt Meghan, and that silence became louder than any truth. The narrative spread. Headlines grew darker, and Catherine's name carried a shadow she never asked for. A private moment between two women turned into a global weapon. Meghan's story became the version the world repeated. Catherine's silence became the proof the world accepted. The real truth, it stayed buried until Oprah. Because 3 years later, in 2021, that private dress drama returned. Not in whispers, but in a prime-time interview. One that would reignite the feud, divide millions, and rewrite the narrative once again. So how did a quiet fight over dresses explode into a global storm 3 years later? March 2021, a quiet garden, a pair of chairs, and 3 faces the world knew. Meghan, Harry, Oprah. This was no casual chat. It was a prime-time tell-all, and millions watched. Meghan leaned forward, her voice calm, her words sharp. She repeated the bridesmaid story, but now it was global. Kate made me cry. Catherine was painted as the villain, and Meghan, the woman the palace mistreated. The story spread like fire, but then came the moment that shook the world. The Archie skin color claim. Meghan said someone in the royal family questioned how dark her son's skin might be. It became a scandal overnight. Oprah's eyes widened. "What?" she said. The clip went viral. The words became headlines, and Meghan's version of the story became untouchable. Support poured in from Hollywood, from politicians, from fans across the globe. To question her meant attacking her pain, and so her version stood. Catherine never spoke. The palace stayed silent. The public believed Meghan. For years, her words carried weight no one dared to challenge. The bridesmaid tears, the skin color scandal, the wounds of a woman wronged. That was the narrative. And Oprah's interview made it permanent. But history has a way of circling back. Because years later, in 2025, Oprah herself looked into the camera and admitted not everything was true. So what did Oprah say in her live confession? That turned the story upside down. By 2022, the glow of the Oprah interview began to fade. Behind palace walls, royal aides started whispering. They didn't go on TV. They didn't name names. But quietly, they suggested Meghan's claims were selective. Not lies. Not all wrong. But not the full truth either. And people started to notice. Polls told the story. Catherine's approval began to climb. She smiled at events. She focused on duty. Her Shaping Us campaign gained support. She talked about mental health, about children, about the future. Meanwhile, across the ocean, Meghan stayed silent, living in California. Her appearances grew fewer, her interviews slowed down, and her numbers fell. The woman once seen as the brave truth teller, now seen by many as a divider. But still, there was one person standing by her, Oprah Winfrey. She never took back the broadcast. She never admitted doubt. She stood by Meghan's words. For years, the show stayed untouchable. But history doesn't sit still. By 2025, cracks turned into a break. Oprah sat again, this time not with Meghan, not with Harry, but alone, live, on air. And the words she spoke stunned the world. She didn't double down, she didn't defend, she confessed. So what did Oprah finally admit? Live on camera. That shook the story, the palace, and the world. It was a night no one expected. On live television, Oprah Winfrey faced the camera. And for the first time, she apologized. Not to Meghan, not to Harry, but to Catherine, Princess of Wales. Her voice steady, her words heavy. She admitted the 2021 special spiraled out of control. The headlines had been louder than the truth, the stories sharper than the facts. She spoke of the dress drama and confessed what many had long suspected. The tears were mutual. Both Catherine and Meghan had cried. Not one-sided, not villain versus victim, just two women under pressure. Then came the claim about Archie's skin color. Oprah clarified it wasn't a plot, it wasn't a scheme, it was a single comment, blown up into a global scandal. And then, the hardest part. Oprah admitted she had failed. She had not fact-checked enough. She had let emotion race ahead of evidence. And the weight of that failure now pressed on her shoulders. The queen of interviews, confessing her mistake live on air. The world sat in shock. Supporters of Catherine cheered. Defenders of Meghan fell silent. And the royal story, once untouchable, was rewritten in seconds. Oprah's words gave Catherine something she had never had. Public vindication. But what came next was just as important, because now the world turned to Catherine herself. How would she respond to this stunning moment? Would she speak at last, or let the silence continue? After Oprah's confession, the world waited for Catherine to strike back. Would she issue a statement? Would she defend herself at last? But Catherine did something else. She did nothing. No interviews, no direct comments. She simply carried on with duty, and that silence became her loudest answer. At Royal Ascot, she appeared in classic elegance. At President Macron's state dinner, she walked with quiet confidence. No anger, no bitterness, just the steady grace of a woman focused on her role. And the world noticed. Social media flooded with memes. Captions read, "Grace under fire." Others called her the Queen in Waiting, already showing the calm power the crown demands. For years, she had been painted as cold. Now her composure looked like strength. For every viral clip of Meghan speaking, there was now a viral image of Catherine smiling in silence. And this time, silence won. It was a moment bigger than fact checks. It was optics. And optics can shape history. While Meghan's story seemed to crumble, Catherine's calm built her higher. The internet crowned her without needing ceremony, the true queen in waiting. But the story wasn't done, because while Catherine's calm brought praise, the question turned to Meghan, watching her narrative collapse, watching her strongest ally step away. What would Meghan do next? Would she stay silent or fight back? After Oprah's confession, all eyes turned to Meghan Markle. Would she answer? Would she defend herself? Would she speak at last? But in California, there was only silence. No press interviews, no statements, no public defense, just quiet. And in the world of modern media, silence speaks. At first, Meghan's silence had been her power. It made her look graceful. It gave her space. But in 2025, silence turned heavy. It no longer looked like strength. It began to look like guilt. And the internet moved fast. Old interviews resurfaced. Her 2022 The Cut feature. Clips from past specials. Moments where she hinted at pain, at prejudice, at palace coldness. But this time, the clips played differently. This time, people asked, was she exaggerating? Was the story too polished? Pieces that once built her up now cut her down. And Catherine's calm rise made Meghan's silence look louder. The polls shifted. approval ratings flipped. The woman once cheered as a fighter, now questioned as a storyteller. For Meghan, every day of silence cost her. And for the public, it confirmed their doubts. In royal dramas, perception is everything, and now perception had turned against her. But Meghan wasn't the only one under fire, because when Oprah confessed, the internet had its own reaction, and it came fast. So how did the online world respond to Oprah's shocking apology? The silence didn't last. The moment Oprah confessed, the internet exploded. Social feeds turned into a battlefield. Memes flew everywhere. Polls shifted overnight, and the hashtags told the story. Hashtag Catherine vindicated. Hashtag Meghan exposed. It was a digital storm. News anchors weighed in. Pundits filled panels. Commentators replayed clips from 2018, 2021, and now 2025. And for the first time, Catherine wasn't the cold villain. She was the woman who stayed calm, the one who never fought back. Panels hailed her as a sign of leadership, of quiet strength, of royal discipline. While Catherine's name rose, Meghan's image fell. Clips that once gained sympathy now looked different. The tears, the whispers, the headlines, they no longer told a story of pain. They looked like a story of power, of control, of a narrative carefully shaped. The heroine was suddenly cast as the villain. And the villain? Catherine, now seen as the queen in waiting. The internet crowned her without a throne. And Meghan, once untouchable, found her story questioned at every turn. It was a reversal no one imagined. One confession flipped years of perception upside down. But this storm wasn't just about memes or hashtags. It was about the truth. Because Oprah didn't just say sorry. She revealed details that changed the story itself. So what was the real truth Oprah uncovered about Meghan's claims? At last, the truth was spoken. On live TV, Oprah revealed what had been hidden for years. The claims that shook the monarchy were not what they seemed. The bridesmaid dress story, it wasn't just Catherine's fault. Both women cried. Both were under pressure. It wasn't a villain versus victim story. It was human. The Archie skin color claim, not a plot, not a scheme, not the palace against a child. It was a single comment, clumsy, careless, but not a sign of systemic hate. The biggest scandals of 2021, the ones that painted Meghan as a truth teller and Catherine as cold, were suddenly exposed as exaggerated and selective. What once looked like royal cruelty now looked like a narrative overblown. And the world felt the shift. The monarchy, once under attack, seemed steadier. Catherine, once blamed, stood vindicated. Meghan, once cheered, now faced doubt. For years, people argued about the truth. But Oprah's confession didn't just adjust the story, it rewrote history overnight. Headlines were corrected, public opinion flipped, and the scars left by that 2021 interview began to heal, at least for Catherine. But for Meghan, the cost was heavy. Her strongest ally had admitted she didn't check enough. Her loudest claims now carried question marks. The woman once untouchable was suddenly vulnerable, and the monarchy, once shaken, now looked stronger than before. So what does this mean for Catherine, Meghan, and the monarchy's future? The world finally saw it. Meghan's story was not airtight. Parts were bent, parts were exaggerated, and parts simply didn't hold up. For years, she wore the crown of the victim, the woman who stood against the palace, the woman who fought for her voice. But now, that crown slipped, because the person who gave her the stage, Oprah Winfrey, was the same person who took it away. On live television, Oprah confessed. She admitted Meghan's claims had been selective. She admitted the tears weren't one-sided. She admitted the skin color scandal wasn't a plot. The lies had spread too far, too fast. And with one confession, the story flipped. The villain became the victim. The silent one became the strong one. Catherine, Princess of Wales, no longer the woman who made Meghan cry, but the woman who endured, who rose, who carried herself with grace. She never shouted. She never corrected. She let time do the talking. And time, at last, spoke in her favor. This was the twist no one expected. Meghan's voice was the loudest, but Catherine's silence proved stronger. And in that silence, the world saw a queen in waiting. The moral is simple. Narratives can mislead. Voices can twist. But the truth always returns. This royal drama wasn't just about bridesmaid dresses or private comments. It was about power, about truth, and about how one confession can flip a story upside down. If you want more explosive stories like this, where power, truth, and scandal collide, make sure to subscribe, hit like, and share this video. And now the question goes to you. Do you think Oprah was brave to confess, or was her apology too late to repair the damage?